my lovely friends, it is Margaret, and I am here to talk about the Six of Crows duology. I'm not gonna throw and catch these because number one, they're gorgeous, and number two, they're really heavy, and there are two of them. So I was lucky enough to finally read some Leigh Bardugo. I am so behind the times. I know, guys. I need to read the Grisha trilogy ASAP. The way this is going to go is I'm going to talk about Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom in kind of a non-spoilery way. I am going to summarize it as best I can, give you a few quick shots, and then I'm going to wave goodbye to those of you that have not read this series, and we're going to talk. Oh, my friends, we gonna talk. You know exactly what I'm talking about because we gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about a couple of things. I picked these up. Okay, so actually the reason I picked this one up was because I was at Target and I had a little money. I got this around the same time that I got Turtles All the Way Down, and I had specifically put aside money that I was going to use to see if I could find a signed copy of John Green's book that had a Pokeball in it. Because anyone who knows, Henry was putting Pokeballs in some of the signed copies of Turtles All the Way Down. So I go to Target to find this book, and this was sitting on the shelf, and it was gorgeous. And I had money for a book. And this was like the third time I checked somewhere, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna find it, so I bought a couple more books. In my defense, all my bills were paid. Six of Crows is about a gang of kids. The six very unlikely friends might be too strong a word, but something around that. It focuses on Kaz, Inej, Nina, Matthias, Jesper, and Wyland. Kaz is the mastermind. He has been contracted to do a super impossible job. There is a scientist that has been captured by the Fjerdans, being held captive in the Ice Court, which is one of the most impenetrable places in their world. So Kaz has been hired, and he puts together a group of ragtag kind of people from his gang, I guess. I guess the Dregs are a gang. They live in Ketterdam, and they kind of are the criminal underworld of Ketterdam, and Kaz is basically the lieutenant to one of the bosses, and it's a whole complicated story. They put together this team, and they have to go and retrieve this scientist from people that absolutely hate the Grisha. For those of you that are not familiar with the Grishaverse, the Grisha are people who basically have magical powers. There are some of them that can like manipulate human bodies. They're healers. They can like slow down your pulse, make you unconscious, that kind of thing. There are people that can work with like metals and different elements, and there are people that work with like wind, weather, that kind of thing. And the Fjerdans think that they're unnatural. The reason that Kaz is hired to get the scientist is that he has come up with a drug that like amplifies the power of the Grisha, but it is also a very addictive substance, and it basically like burns your Grisha out super fast. You don't survive very long after having taken it. This is all about them going to get that scientist, and then the second book is all about the aftermath of them going to Fjerda and causing all of this chaos, and what happens in the last couple of chapters. Like they end up dealing with that for the entire book, because that's how you end a very good book with a sequel. Oh boy, guys, can we talk about that ending for a moment? The ending of this one. The ending of that one was perfect too, but I don't have to wait till we get to spoilers for that. This book, like, it took me a little bit of time to get through because, you know, I only have like an hour to an hour to read at night. But so this book ended, and like, so my bed is right here. My bookshelf with my library books, because originally that was a library book, but then I left my library book at home, and I had money to spend at Universal, and so instead of buying Harry Potter swag, I bought this book. That's the story behind that one. Anyway, so I had Crooked Kingdom all the way on the other side of my room on my library bookshelf. It's only one shelf, by the way. I don't have like 3 whole shelves of library books, but bed, like I almost died in the time it took me to get from here all the way over there to grab the book. I was so invested. I have not wanted a sequel that badly, not been that desperate for a sequel since I finished Son of Neptune. I had to wait a year for Mark of Athena. I was so glad I did not have to wait a year for Crooked Kingdom. That's the nice thing about reading things behind the times, is you don't have to wait for Crooked Kingdom to count. You don't have to like lose your mind because your favorite character is in danger. and your OTP has been split up because someone decided to kidnap people. Holy crap, her writing is so good. Like her dialogue was next level. Like, I'm sitting there, I did get a little lost. That is the one thing that I have negative, well, the one, like, writing thing I have negative. I have a few negative things to say about something that happened in this book. The one negative thing I had is it did get a little, like, I could have used more speech tags, just a little bit, because there were a couple places I was like, wait, who's talking? Who's talking? But it was still fantastic dialogue, and, like, each character had a specific way of talk. Like, it's one of those things that, like, you sit there and you go, oh man, I need to step my writing game up. Oh, I need to step it so far up. Each character had a different way of talking. Like you could almost tell a lot of the time, which is very helpful when I was getting confused. I'm just gonna keep it like that so you can kind of see the covers. I'm tired of holding Six of Crows because it is heavy. They're murder books, both literally and figuratively. Her writing was just so descriptive, but it was still such a part of the story. The way she used flashbacks to kind of draw, like, she would draw you in and you would see a behavior from a character and you would get a hint of something, and then she would kind of just slip into a flashback, and it, for the most part, they weren't weird or like out of place. Like, they were well placed and well done. Her world was just so rich, and she had so many different cultures and so many different characters. Like, this is a multicultural cast. Every character has something that like distinguishes them from the normal skinny, pretty white person that you usually see in YA. Like, we're not dealing with Clary and Jace Harrendell, even though I love Clary and Jace. But, like, there's a little more diversity in our people in this book. One of them has a learning disability, which was really interesting. We got into the conversation of how do you measure intelligence, and having to be like, well, maybe some of the measurements that we've been typically using, because this character is super smart, maybe some of the measures that we've been using are not really as accurate as they should. Like, maybe we're measuring intelligence in not entirely the right way. Her characters were fantastic. I loved every last one of them. And holy cow, redemption arc. Yes! I am a sucker for a good redemption arc. Hi, Killian. Hi, Zuko. There's a reason they're some of my favorite characters, and it's because I really do love a good redemption arc. Like, a good one. Like Scar from Fullmetal Alchemist. I'm not talking about a whiny boy with daddy issues who just decided that I'm not going to get into that. But I'm talking like I like a really good redemption arc that has, like, the character learning and growing and trying to make amends for what they've done and showing some remorse over what they've done. There were a lot of issues that were brought into the book by the characters that I enjoyed, that I liked, not enjoyed is the wrong word. Like, because some of it was truly terrible stuff. One of them was actually kidnapped by slavers and forced to work in a brothel for a while. Like there's, like I said, there's a lot of trauma. One of them lost someone important to them when they were very young, and so they had to figure out how to survive on their own. They all had such real, for this world, such real backstories. They were so fleshed out. Like, I feel like I could literally sit down and have a conversation with Nina over so many things, but most especially over, like, food. Like, I would love to just take Nina around and tell her all of my favorite places to eat, and I feel like she would be down for that. I was hooked from the very beginning, because it just was such a big bang to the start, and then I was hooked to the very end. This has one of the best romances. Two really good romances, but, like, one of the best romances that I have ever read. Like, so real, and, like, maybe it wasn't at the place where I would have liked it to be personally at the end of the book, but it was where the characters could handle being at the end of the book. Plus the promise of more. That is as much as I can say without spoiling it, because I'm me, and all of my favorite things are spoilers for the most part. I'm just gonna say, if you haven't read it, this is your cue to go bye-bye. And come back later when you have read it. Do please come back later when you have read it and see what I'm going to talk about, and then, like, talk to me about this book in the comments Please talk to me about this book in the comments. I have no one to talk to about this book right now. I have no one to talk with about this book because none of my friends have read them and I'm not going to spoil it for them. I'm filming this literally so I can hand the books to my best friend and be like, read them. You have not read the book. Goodbye. Goodbye. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. I'm going to talk about a few happy things and then we'll talk about some not so happy things. Inej and Kaz are my life. Oh my gosh, guys. Like, okay, listen, I loved Nina and Matthias, but there was just this one thing that kind of keeps them from being OTP. Mainly because I was OTPing Kaz and Inej really hard from the very beginning, but also because that thing happens. I don't want to say it. You know what you did, Lee Bardugo! You know what you did! What was the point? Okay, I'm not going to get into that because that's like the one negative thing that I have, and I want to get some of the positive stuff out there. I loved all of them. I loved Matthias because he was like learning from his faults, and he was a perfect example of like that brainwashed kid who's only known certain things growing up, and then like they go off to college and they go, holy crap, my parents were messed up. Matthias, I don't know. I say Matthias because that's how normal people pronounce it here, but he's also not American, so he's probably Matthias. But I'm saying it Matthias because that's how I've been saying it. Lee Bardugo can correct me if she wants to, and then we're gonna have a conversation. Oh, my heart hurt so bad for Nina in the second book. Like, just... I keep circling back to the thing that I'm not talking about yet. Anyways, Inej Gaffa is my child, and if you touch her, I will hurt you. Okay? Okay? Do not hurt Inej. Oh man. It was the perfect way to ensure I would be thoroughly invested in Crooked Kingdom. Like I said, like I finished Six of Crows on Wednesday night, and I immediately jumped into Crooked Kingdom. I was supposed to be writing that night. Didn't happen. I don't even regret it. Not sorry. Also, there's no one depending on my book at this point, so I'm really not sorry. Just Kaz, the dumb butt. I love you, Kaz, but you were so like screwed up and Kaz. You moron. I'm like something, oh, this is not gonna go well. Oh, this is not gonna go. No, don't stop hurting my child. Please stop hurting Inej. That was me. Like that whole last, almost the second to last chapter. I don't know. It was like the second to last chapter where Inej gets absconded with. And so I get through that, and I get through them going, okay, we're gonna go get Inej. And then the book ends. And apparently Lee Bardugo has been taking notes from Rick Riordan, because Lee Bardugo knew that the best way to get Margaret to just like ravenously devour the next book, someday I will tell you the Mark of Athena story, guys. The best way to get her to just like need the next book more than she needs to breathe is to deny her or set up the need for a reunion. Because Margaret is a reunion junkie. We're gonna say that because my mother wouldn't like it if I used the other word. So I'm in Crooked Kingdom and I'm trying to get to the point where they have rescued Inej. And then I go to Universal for Celebration of Harry Potter weekend. And I leave the book! I left the book, guys! Such a rookie move. I left it at home. I brought my manga because I knew I would need something to read at times in the park because there would be some waiting. I brought that. I went to three stores in Orlando to find this book because we needed some stuff. So automatically we went to Target. I was like, you know what? It's at my Target. Crooked Kingdom was sitting at my Target just the other day. I'm going to check this Target in Orlando. Not at the Target. It wasn't at the Walmart. I wasn't expecting it to be at the Walmart, but I had to check anyways. And we finally, Saturday night, we finally went to Barnes & Noble. And I got Crooked Kingdom. And I read that sucker until we got to the reunion. and then I was fine. I could put the book down. I also got myself a book light so I could read on the way home. I could breathe again. I knew what had happened and how it had happened, and I love Inej so much. Like, listen guys, I'm not even joking when I say I would give my left arm for a series about Inej and Kaz taking down like the scum of the scum in Ketterdam. I would give my left arm. I am left-handed. No writing gets done without this hand. Like, I would give up my livelihood for that series. I should probably not make that deal because it'll probably happen and then I will regret having made that deal. It's really funny to really examine Inej and Kaz's dynamic and compare it to other dynamics that I've read, because they're basically a more intense version of Batman and Catwoman. You've got like the mastermind slash genius that's coming up with all of these plots and trying to outthink everyone, and then you have the super stealthy one who can get into anywhere she wants to get into. Like, I apparently have a type. Who's surprised? No one is surprised. Now we're gonna talk about the thing that we're gonna talk about Matthias's death. What the heck, Lee Bardugo? What the heck? Why? Why would you do that? I wasn't like crushed by it. I was a little brokenhearted and I felt really sad for Nina. And I was very frustrated by the fact that we then got nothing to show us kind of the aftermath of that, except like her crying over his corpse and then saying she's going to take him to Fjerda. I do not understand why it happened. Except that Lee Bardugo wanted to make me sad. I so badly wanted to just like at her in a tweet and be like, you know what you did. I just, like it made, if he was gonna die, I would have preferred that it happened earlier, where there was some sort of maybe not like benefit, but like some sort of payoff to his death, where his death somehow furthered along the plot of this particular book. It just felt like so pointless and sad. That's my frustration, is like he didn't die doing anything to help the team. He just got shot by some poor Fjordan kid who was misguided and stupid enough to believe genocidal, I don't know what the word is. I'm so mad right now that I can't even remember what the word is, but genocidal doctrine. I mean, I understand, like, in Fjerda, there's no one there to tell you that it's wrong. So I'm assuming that, like, in the next series, she's gonna take Nina and go somewhere with that, maybe, except that it's not about Nina, it's about what's-his-face, the king of Ravka. I don't think we actually ever found out his real name. We might have found out his real name once. I wasn't paying attention. The thing that really frustrates me is that, like, there was literally, like, 5 minutes difference between him getting there in time to be saved and him not being saved at all. I understand why Nina's powers couldn't work the way that they were supposed to work. I understand that you need to have emotional consequences and stuff like that, but like this didn't heighten any stakes. This didn't benefit, like it didn't benefit any part of this story. It frustrated me, and that is the one thing that I did not like about Cricket Kingdom, and if I could change that, I would change that, because Nina did not deserve that, and Matthias did not deserve that. He was becoming a good person. Why? Like I mentioned earlier, I did like Wylan's arc and the story with Wylan. And we are moving on, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. I'm done talking about Matthias and Matthias dying, and I'm done. I'm done being angry about that. I really thought that was really interesting how she gave him that learning disability. It sounded like dyslexia to me. Not that I'm an expert, but like Percy Jackson did make me kind of interested in dyslexia. Margaret cannot do a video without talking about Percy Jackson, apparently, just in case you are new here and you didn't know that. But Percy Jackson like got me interested in dyslexia and ADHD and all of that, and so like I looked it up and I did some studying for those. And also I've written some Percy Jackson fan fiction, so I looked a lot of that up so that I would be able to do the best I could to accurately portray what was going on in Percy and Annabeth's heads. From what I know of dyslexia, it sounds like Wylan might have had a form of that. The kind of world that it's based off, like everything would have been really small. It would have been in like cursive and script and stuff that's very hard to read when you're dyslexic. I would like to see what would happen if Wylan got someone who knew how to deal with dyslexia. But I liked that, like, even though he couldn't read, it didn't make him any less intelligent. I thought that was really good. I think that too often we are told that intelligence is like this these certain things, and we don't think about the fact that there are other ways to be intelligent than just being able to do all the math problems or write a fantastic essay or something like that, because like I can do most of those things and I am no genius. I like the story with Jesper and his mom, especially as we got into book 2 and you kind of found out that his dad had told him to like hide who he was and hide his powers. His struggle with that was a like, they all had such interesting storylines and such interesting struggles. I liked how Inej's little pirate ship grew to be this like whole big dream of just taking down like the pimps and the slavers and the people who bought the slaves and like all of that. I also like the fact that she used indentures. Those could go very wrong for people way back when. There are a couple of quotes. I don't know if I can find the first one. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna stop looking, but I know, because I know that basically know the quote. It's the one where he's talking to Jesper and he's like, next time you're trying to impress me, give me some warning. And this one I really am gonna have to look up because I want to get the exact wording. I just remembered the scene with the bandages. Like, oh my gosh, what an intense scene. Oh man, like that's the good stuff, guys. Like, that was the good stuff. Margaret likes emotional intimacy, in case you hadn't noticed. It was so good, especially since like you had both of them kind of sharing and breaking some of their barriers. I liked that. I liked getting to I liked having Inej kind of open up, and even though Kaz technically didn't like open up emotionally, he still opened up to an extent, and he tried. There we go. Okay. This, as someone who loves Inej Gaffa with all her heart and wants only the best things for her, and definitely would have been like, Kaz Brekker, you need to fork off, if he had not shown some desire to change and grow. The scene where Van Eck was going to break her legs was so intense. Like, I'm just sitting there going, oh, no. Like, no. And then she was clever and got out of it. But, like, oh, my heart just broke for her when she's like, he wouldn't come for me if you broke my legs. I'd be no use to him. And I'm just sitting there like, because, like, you know it's not true. You know it's not true because you have everyone else's experience, but at the same time, she doesn't know it's not true. And then Kaz is an idiot and calls her an investment. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I have found a man who is worse at romance than Bruce Wayne. Like, I didn't think there was anyone worse than him. Except maybe his son, but that's a whole different story. My favorite quote of the entire series is on page 184. I would come for you. I would come for you, and if I couldn't walk, I'd crawl to you. And no matter how broken we were, we'd fight our way out together. Knives drawn, pistols blazing, because that's what we do. We never stop fighting. Like, that's some wedding vow material right there, guys. Boys, take note. I'm such a sucker for battle couples. Like, such a sucker. A couple that's a good team and, like, gets each other, and yes. Like, this had everything I needed in a romance, and it's hilarious because there wasn't even kissing. And usually I'm just like, there's not enough kissing, and I definitely was like, there's not enough kissing. All through Six of Crows, and then you got to the scene in was it the bathroom? I don't know where they were, but they were, he was helping her retie her bandages, and I'm just sitting there going, yes, this is the good stuff. Keep it coming. This is the good stuff. And then at the end, I have never in my life been so happy to have two characters holding hands as I was in that moment. I was just like, oh, it's gonna work. And he brought her parents for her. Like, I mean, I love that he bought the ship and all of that, and he was like, yes, you go, blah, 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 do your thing, and he was gonna let her go. And then she's like, what I'm doing actually has stuff here, too. I liked how it wasn't a sudden, like, just a declaration, what, I'm gonna stay in Ketterdam because there's all this stuff. Like, it was her gradually realizing that it's not just the slavers that were going out, they go out and kidnap kids and bring them to Ketterdam and sell them to Tante Helene. It was, like, people in Ketterdam that needed to be brought down too. And she's like, I know someone who could help me with that. The last chapter with Pekka Rollins, like, it was so unnecessary on one hand, but on the other hand, it was hilarious, and I'm very glad it happened. Page 527 is like the second to last chapter. Back on Black Veil, he told her they would fight their way out. knives drawn, pistols blazing, because that's what we do. She would fight for him, but she could not heal him. She would not waste her life trying. I like that it shows that sometimes people do need a little help to be healed, but at the same time, you have to have your lines drawn. Sometimes people need help. Sometimes people need motivation to get their crap together. And you do have to take people as they are, but she also showed that when you have someone who is willing to and actually taking steps to change, it can be worth it to stick it out. So, those are my thoughts on Six of Crows. I would love to hear what you have to say about Six of Crows. I would love to talk with you about it. I've been posting about it on my Instagram, on my Twitter, all over the place because I love it so much. If you liked this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. That will really help me out. Also, if you would like to subscribe, I think that's where the button is, I would greatly appreciate it. I am really, really excited. I've got so many of you guys that are just already talking back to me and we're having such good conversations. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who's been supporting me so far. I would love to have more people to talk with though, especially about this series because I love it so much. If you would like to see more of my content, I am on Instagram and Twitter. I will put links down below. I am the word nerd with a 3 instead of an E. And I also have a blog where I talk about writing things and reading things alike. It is www.thewordnerd with the 3 instead of the E.com. I will also have that down below in the description box. It has been lovely chatting with you guys about Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I hope to hear from you. I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!